पूछोगे तो बताएगा वो पंछी कि एक दायरे में सिमटने में और पूरी दुनिया को दायरा बनाने में बस इतना सा फर्क है। इतना कितना है? इतना है या इतना है? जो नापेगा वो जाने कि जहां धरती और आसमान मिलते हैं, नानपुर से दूर, अगर मगर शायद से दूर, वहां भी दोनों में फर्क बस इतना सा है। धरती और सातवें आसमान में फर्क बस इतना सा है। ये एक अंतर प्रेरणा है। ये हमारी, आपकी, हम सब की अंतर प्रेरणा है। एक कदम, एक छलांग, एक बाजी, एक गहरी सांस और एक ललकार खुली हवाओं में कि हाँ, मैं बना हूं उन फिजाओं के लिए, कि हाँ, मैं बना हूं उन ऊंचाइयों के लिए जो ऊंची तो बहुत है पर नामुमकिन भी नहीं, क्योंकि मुमकिन और नामुमकिन में बस इतना सा फर्क है। धूप छांव में फर्क बस इतना सा है। तो बस चलिए फ्रेंचाइज इंडिया के साथ ये फर्क मिटा देते हैं। फ्रेंचाइज इंडिया।
Hello everyone, a very warm welcome to our today's webinar of Business Opportunity Over Chai. Business Opportunity Over Chai, presented by the management of Franchise India with an aim to introduce you with a new brand every day at 12 o'clock. Today on this Sunday noon, we are back for an exciting special business opportunity with India's largest holiday store with 16 years of legacy intends to emerge as the world's largest vacation company in 2025. TripFactory is bringing opportunities for area developers and TripFactory advisors globally. Today, as we can see, we do have wonderful team of our panelists, in which before going forward to it, as I can see that we have our chairman, Mr. Gaurav Maurya, who has joined us on this panel today. So I would like to request Mr. Maurya to put some insight, share some details related to the brand and some inputs for our panelists or as well as for the participant who has joined us today on this panel. Over to you, Gaurav, sir.
Thank you, Neha, and welcome, friends, and welcome to Business Opportunity webinar. This is Franchise India's series, which continue to happen every single day at 12 o'clock. So I'll let Sonia begin. Sonia is the managing director of the company. So Sonia would do the first introduction, and then we'll pass it on to Vinay ji, who's the founder, and we are very delighted that he's part of the webinar himself. It shows his passion and commitment towards the business and the partnerships we are looking at. And over to you, Sonia, then I will probably put some words on this.
Thank you, friends. A very good afternoon to all of you. And I thank you all for joining on this very special webinar and a business opportunity that we bring to all our investors today. And I'll start with giving a little introduction about the company and also Vinay ji, who's joined us today. He's the founder of TripFactory and a very visionary entrepreneur. And prior to founding TripFactory, he also founded a company, Via.com, which is the world's leading travel platform funded by the names like Kalari and Sequoia. In fact, he's a name to reckon with the as far as travel industry is concerned. And I would add on to say that it is sometimes very complex process to completely understand the supply chain of travel due to many layers in the industry. And in addition to this, innovation, technology, modernization are changing the travel supply chain model, which is very dynamic. And this is what TripFactory brings as a value proposition to the entire travel community, which they founded with a vision to provide a seamless and also more important, I would say, an end-to-end and a full stack solution to the travelers across the world, which they very intelligently combined with matchless AI, machine learning integrated in their entire business model, which also reflects Vinay ji's rich experience of scaling tech platforms in his past life. So deep customization, experiential services is the differentiator, which TripFactory is bringing to the industry. And also over the last, I think 1.5 months, we actually contemplated on the business model. So with the Franchise India's experience of working with companies on building a sustainable business model over the last 26 years and Vinay ji's experience of more than 2 decades in the industry, we have come up with a model which I personally feel offers a great proposition, not only to the business partners, but also to the larger travel community that we are serving today, not only in India, but across the world. So without taking more time, I'll request Viniji, if you want to give a little background on TripFactory, and then I'll request Gaurav also to maybe set a perspective before we formally start a presentation. And I'll request all our friends who've joined in, if you have any questions with respect to the business model, you want to share your profile, you can all use the chat box that you all see at the bottom of your screens.
Thank you. Thank you, Sonia. Thank you, Neha. Thank you, Gaurav, Rahul, Ashokji, and Shivan and Dikshant. So, a very good morning, everyone. Just to give you a quick background on me and a small idea about who I am as a person. I grew up in Shimla, and first half of my life, I lived in the north, and second half of my life, I lived in the south. And I've studied in Calcutta, and and I have spent a significant part of my life in the US, in Wall Street. So I'm a little bit of Pahadi, a little bit of a plains guy, a little bit of the east guy, and a lot of south now because we are based in Bangalore. And I had the opportunity in my career to travel places. And as we built businesses, I have traveled significantly around the world. And that whole traveling from the very beginning that I have been doing, right? Because my dad was with CBI, and we were thrown out every few years to a new station. So I think that kind of became my career at some point, though I'm a computer science engineer, spent off my life in Wall Street, but ended up setting up travel businesses, So that's a little bit around me as a person. And we've been in the travel industry since 2005 when we set up our first venture, Wire.com, and it has been one of the most successful companies in the trade. We not only created a new business model, but we also scaled the company in 3,200 towns and cities in India and in almost 49, 50 countries globally, right? And it is still successfully running. We've sold over 50, 60,000 crores of travel. And in a lot of countries, even today, 1 out of 6 or 1 out of 7 people travel through Via, right? So we are a monopoly. Right. And so basically we have significant insight because of doing that into what are the key problems in travel, right? And one of the key problems we saw in travel, was around tourism, which we believed will grow like crazy. Almost 10 years back when we started this business, our philosophy was that the ration card will be replaced with a passport, and tourism will almost become like a lifestyle thing where people have to, will, and happily, right? Like people buy clothes for Diwali, people buy this, they will have plans to travel, right? So it will not be a part of a expense, it will become the part of a lifestyle, right? And I think we were somewhere very right. And with the whole economy developing, everything happening, I think we're going down that path globally, and India becoming the 5th largest economy in the world. And with the whole India economic Middle East economic corridor, that means India is going to become the manufacturing hub, right? So the number of jobs, the prosperity this country is going to see is going to be unthinkable, and so with that in mind, and tourism at the center of it, and also being a very complex industry, which I will talk about when in my presentation. But that was really the motivation of us doing something, right? Because we are people who deeply believe that the purpose of life is to solve and move on, right? You are not here to become something. So basically the idea is that, and that is why we are doing it. And I think the one thing that I can tell you about our team is whenever we go into an industry, we change that forever. Like when we built the Wire.com business, right? There are 1,000 clones of Wire globally. The best of the best companies in the world had to follow our footsteps, and we changed that industry forever. even e-commerce, the word portal, the B2B word, SaaS, everything emerged out of our innovation, right? And today, even if you look at how Reliance does business with their partners, is through the whole ecosystem of what we developed in Via, right? So, in short, when we go and stitch a line to say this is how things should be in the best possible way, today in the last 18 years, we haven't found anybody globally to be able to come up with something better, right? They had to all follow that track. And similarly in tourism, the track that we are drawing, we are basically going and changing the whole industry, which is one of the largest industries in the world today, when you talk about tourism, because 1 in 10 or 11 people in the world are employed by tourism. So the scale of this is unthinkable, at a large level. And with the number of aircrafts, number of airports, number of passport holders growing like crazy. And I don't think so, the reason you are here on this call is because you also realize that tourism is not a thing. It is going to be part of people's lives, right? So it's part of people's spend. So I think it's a great business, and it is also a lot of satisfaction to see people going and traveling and coming back happy. And the good part about what I love about this business is it is not a transaction business, it's a relationship business, it's a service business. So aisa nahi hai ki, somebody will see something and run away. It's not a can of Pepsi, right? There is a level of service, there's a level of trust, there is a level of interaction. So when you acquire a customer, you just keep building on that, right? So it is almost like a business which just keeps getting better over a period of time. It's not ki aapko har roz utni mehnat karni padti. It's not like you're struggling the same amount of, every day when you wake up, right? So that's the beauty, right? So your effort compounds over a period of time, right? And the world is large, right? So the product stack is very wide. It's not like you're selling a boring product stack, right? And that product stack goes through so much innovation in its own self, right? So with a wide product set, a growing, multiplying, demand set, right? And a compounding customer set, it's an amazing business, at one level. So I think with that, I will stop, Gaurav, if you have to say, and then we will go into the presentation.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think very well defined, Vinayji, and I've seen your journey of building Via and the kind of innovation you brought in and the scale you brought in. It genuinely disrupted the entire industry. So friends, at Franchise India, we are also extremely proud that we have partnered with TripFactory, which is backed by Vinayji, comes with a lot of experience. But also because I and Sonia have put in a lot of time ourselves in last particularly 1 month to understand the gaps and the differences, because most of the travel businesses, we've been behind making the business model. And when we were bringing in TripFactory, it has to be the best in offering. And that's what the vision was. And that was also the mandate given by Vinayji to us. So I'm very proud that when we're going to present you this opportunity, there is nothing like this available. It's a tremendous opportunity. It is a long-term opportunity to build a valuable business which you would love to run and operate. And I also say this because I connect, when I say any opportunity becomes a plus opportunity, then it has to connect 4 things. 3 things which we're going to talk about today. And 4th is you. You as a franchisee, if you qualify to be a partner with TripFactory. The other 3 things which are very important is, first is industry, how the industry is doing. Let's look at the industry. He gave some numbers. It's already sitting at about 18 to $20 trillion business, right? So it's going to be one of the industries which has the highest growth. With this size, still growing at a double digit. And what is happening post-COVID is impossible. I almost get into every day a new flight. I have not seen a seat vacant, right? So people are just flying all over. They are just traveling within India. They're going overseas. Companies are sending their teams. The MICE events happening. There's so much going on in the travel space that this industry, just by the sheer size of growth, has opportunity for everybody to partner. Second, it has some significant trends. Now, even living in this own city, if you get a holiday, like tomorrow is a holiday, all the hotels in Delhi would get packed because people would just move there and spend time with their family and so on and so forth. So the trends are also telling you that. technology, which I'm a big fan of Vinayji, the company, and the way he looks at businesses, he simplifies the problem. So it was very complex from integrated to travel providers. There was a lot of complexity in the whole structure. When you become partner with TripFactory, it gets fully integrated solution. And they have also put in a lot of infrastructure, which we'll talk about further on that. Then also the growth in the industry, which we have talked about. But once you're sold on the industry, then you have to look at why TripFactory, why the brand. And that's where the real differentiation comes in. They're extremely highly invested business. They have invested. I would like to welcome all of you to come to their corporate office, which is in Bangalore. When you come to their corporate office, see their infrastructure, you will understand this is a very well invested business. Second, the whole integration and experience which they bring in, and their team, which we're going to talk about. I think Ashok would run a presentation and we'll talk about their team and infrastructure, which is available globally. So it's not that they're sourcing things from others. They've deployed their own infrastructure in all markets. Now, the third pillar, which is also very important, is the overall financial performance of the business model, which we're going to talk about. I have not seen a business model, especially in travel, which has this kind of a financial performance. Another thing which has been, I think, a mandate again from Vinayji is the stakeholder, assurance, because every single partner who has to come in with TripFactory has to come with a long-term viewpoint. And the company has made a plan to invest in each entrepreneur who starts the travel factory business in any capacity, in the capacity of an area developer or a capacity of a advisor. So we'll get started with the presentation, and but it's also equally important that you qualify for it. So please share your remarks, your own experience, anything you want to really ask on the Q&A box, and we will take it for the panel. And we have an opportunity today because Vinayji also is in the room, so we can ask him as many questions if we want to do that. So let's get started with the presentation, and we'll keep last 15 minutes only for Q&A. So let's get started.
So, okay. So thank you, Gaurav. So I'll walk you through the deck, which kind of covers a few simple basic things that you must know. Let me just pull that up. So basically, what we have done, why the word TripFactory in the first place? Is basically so that, it's a factory where you can go and create any kind of trip, so that is where the word TripFactory kind of emerged, right? It was basically saying, we are going to be the largest manufacturing house when it comes to word trips globally, and today, the way we've looked at this whole space for the last 200 years, right? This space has seen no innovation. And when I say that, it basically means that because it has thousands and thousands of suppliers, experiences, people, like 1/10 of the world's employment is in tourism. So you can imagine the number of complex city around the whole ecosystem. So to be able to deliver the whole world to you, right, in a very simple way, like Google Maps has done, right? They took the whole world and put it in your hand, right? And they said, now you don't have to worry about where you're going. If you know where you're going, what you need, we will tell you how you can get there. And, that's how simple. So I think TripFactory is a business which took this whole thing to a 10 other levels of complexity, where Google Map is just drawing a line and showing you how to get there. We're actually looking at every piece of request and saying, if this is what I need, then how do you get there? Like, let's say, for example, a 10-day temple tour of South India. While it is very simple, you have 20 websites on the top, but it is very hard to construct if you start putting constraints, who's traveling, when they're traveling, what is their belief, how far from the temple, what 4 a.m. puja you want, what kind of food do you want, what kind of things you want to see. Suddenly you start seeing the complexity of tourism, which is where it is. So basically what we have done is we have put tourism in a box, right? And we spent 10 years doing that, right? Like Google Maps, and it's constantly improving, right? And the levels of complexity that you connect on a cruise, you connect on a ferry, you connect on a bus here, you connect on this. So all those connections are there in this factory. And, that is basically when we say intends to emerge the world's largest vacation company, you understand why we are looking at being the largest. Like Google Maps wants to be the best way, you can find your way from point A to point B. TripFactory wants to be the best possible way you can ever build a trip, right? From point A to point B and come back, right? And then you're taken care of in that whole process. So that's the meaning of this statement that we're making, right? And it is not some nice to say thing. It is the deep work that has gone behind and thoughtfully presented the statement. As a culture, right, we always believe that, if you don't solve something, you cannot own it, right? It's almost like, you can be a parent to a baby, if you're a parent to the baby, so innovation is like that, right? So if you are, right, only if you have, it is yours. So, we have created and adopted industries, right? And we are basically bringing up these life-changing things in the industry where, can you believe, right, from a sense of scale and purpose, that we are going to change how 10% of the total employed people in the world will work? That is not a joke, right? That is what only innovation can do, because they find it better. They find it easier, right? And that is why they would change, right? And that is the word innovation. And if it is not linked to you, right, if it doesn't mean something to you, what is the use of it, right? That's where personalization comes into it. And when you do something, you cannot do it for the sake of doing, right? There has to be excellence in it, right? And if there is no honesty in what you are doing, then it is meaningless, right? So that is where innovation, personalization, excellence, and integrity come to play, This is a little bit, I've already spoke to you, the world's best funds have put money in it. I can tell you my early conversation when I was raising capital. I was sitting across the table, across two people, Vani Kula and Vinod Dham. Vinod Dham is the father of Pentium chip. And it was an honor sitting and getting an investment from him, right? Because he was at that time airing on the Airtel ad, Pan India. And so basically, they recognize that, this is the model, right? Which is not a copycat of some Expedia or Booking.com or somebody, but a model which is really trying to solve a problem in the space, right? And building a global business, having a global credibility, all that is something that with God's grace we have achieved so far, and we look forward to continue that journey. So, what is our vision, right? Because our vision is to say, we want the leisure travel world to be simple, vibrant, abundant. I'm sorry, there is a spelling mistake to leisure. I think so. It was typed by the team. So, world to be simple, vibrant, abundance in choices, seamless and hassle-free. Because if it is not simple and vibrant and abundance in choices, then what is the point? And it has to be seamless and hassle-free. And what we are basically trying to do is to give more and more options, and to ensure that options reach people, right? So today, this whole meeting is about step 2, right, in our mission, right? How do we reach to people, right? How can somebody go and say, I'm an advisor with TripFactory, and why are you different? Here is why you are different. And because of the way you are, helped, the way you are, set up as an advisor to basically advise using an amazing platform, and then backed by a global team, which you will see. And then the third point is there is no point in selling something, right, if it doesn't have a consistent experience, right? It's almost like going and saying, one day I had good food and one day I had bad food, right? And that is why global brands become popular, because brands stand for trust and consistency, and That's the third point. Like I have already spoken about myself, we are also a case study at London School of Business. So actually, if you were to go to, london.edu and, you can go and search for my name, right? We are basically a case study at the London School of Business. So I'm also invited every year to the prestigious, Stanford school to be a mentor to the #1 B2B accelerator in the world, The Alchemist, right? And there are a lot of books around which we find mention, in India and globally. And some of these guys who have been in the industry for so long, Abercrombie and Kent and all these, they're some of the top class companies in the world, right? And Brett was the CIO of, ANK for 9 years, right? And I met him during the pandemic, and he was like, I've never seen something like this. This is what I've been aspiring all my life to solve. This is what the world is aspiring to be. And Brett is still trying to get on our board. We don't have a availability on our board as yet, but he's still a well-wisher and admirer of how we built and done something unthinkable in the industry. So and on the other side, means we're becoming a darling of customers and suppliers, because if I am a supplier, we are today operating in 100 countries around the world, right? And I will show you that stuff. So it is not talk, right? Real people across the world traveling through us, So basically, the platform, the business allows you to advise people on most of the relevant countries in the world. Some of them you don't want to visit because they're still very scary, strange. There's a lot going on there, and some are very small islands just for the name's sake. So almost anything which is material, right? You can basically build a nice trip to it. We have today teams across 6 continents working in the world, and we have deep global presence. This map is not new to me. I know this for now 20 years, right? And, we have delivered business there. We expect to grow to a very large company, and some of the biggest names, in India, are hardly 2-3 billion, right? So just to give you the size and scale of what we are talking about, right? And this is the potential of this business for the level we have solved, And our brand, we want our advisors to be perfect, right? And we can have more discussions when we're having. I'll focus on the opportunity right now. Like I have told you, right? The most important, when I was in Wall Street, I asked my boss, right, because I was young, which stock should I buy? And he smiled at me and he says, that is not a question which is uncommon in Wall Street, He said, look, but I'd advise you to go and stand at the Walmart, the Kmart, and just see what people are buying, right? And those are the things you can pick up blindly, and don't worry about what the price is today, because it's only going to keep going up, right? Because businesses which keep having consumption, right, which keep seeing growth, are the ones, which are going to grow, right? Because you want to move in that direction where demand is growing, and you can determine by more number of planes, more number of airports, more numbers of passports issued, more social media content around them, So it's, more social conversations around them. So that is the best way to identify an industry and business, And while all this data is there and it'll be available to you, but that is the way how I learned into looking into things from people I work for, Like I said, there is no end to this market, because we haven't even touched the tip of the iceberg. We are hardly sitting with 500 planes. We need 5,000 planes to come in as yet to even just serve the demand, right? And like Gaurav said, that, whichever airport you go, whichever flight you go, it is all full, right? It has to be, because that is where India has arrived. Because today, if you ask, people used to ask, do you fly, right? Today, people will ask, do you go by train, right? It is becoming fancy. I took my kids on train, is becoming fancy. Whereas what was fancy earlier is, I'm flying with my kids, So I still remember when my dad was with CBI, he used to fly the Vayudut between Calcutta to Northeast, because when he was in Calcutta, he was doing cases around that region. And it was a very unique thing to say in school in the, late 80s and 90s that, your father is flying, right? Because there used to be few people flying. But today, if you say that, people will laugh, right? Because, even a cook is flying, a maid is flying, everybody's flying. Like I said, look around for inspiration is really the key word, and the good part is it's a profitable business. It's a good business. It's a business which accumulates over time. It's a place where people don't come and consume the same Coke. नहीं मैं वहां तो गया हूँ, मुझे कुछ और जगह भेज दो, कुछ नई जगह भेज दो, right? So I want to go to a newer place. So the whole idea is that because of that, right, and because of those growing experiences, the product is always new. The travelers don't know that place, and the complexity involved is fairly high, right? Nobody wants to get their visa wrong. Nobody wants to get their, stuff wrong when they're traveling. And here I'd like to also highlight to you very, very clearly, which you need to understand, is travel is broken into two segments, the do-it-yourself segment and the assisted segment, right? So the do-it-yourself segment is, the Expedia, Booking.com, Make My Trip, and all these companies, right? And then there is the assisted travel segment that I want assistance. I want somebody to help me, right? And you will be surprised that out of $3 trillion of leisure industry, I'm not talking about total travel industry, I'm talking about only holiday business, right? 2.6 trillion, which is 2600, यानी 3000 में से 2600 assisted है और 400 do it yourself है, right? So the do it yourself component is just 400 billion out of $3 trillion, right? That is like, and when the person crosses the age 40, he has no time for nuisance, to call 1-800 number, to do this, to do that. People just want things to be done and they don't want any hassle, and that customer only becomes more and more assisted over time, not less assisted over time, right? So the beauty of this business is that the dependency of the customer on you is only growing more and more over a period of time, right? And people who travel more want to travel even more, right? So even the interest and the taste and the stickiness of the product and customer experience also keeps growing. So the stickiness to the advisor, the stickiness to ask for more, right? And because of all this, right? And this business is very high on referrals, right? Everybody has at least 2, 3, 5 good friends, 5 to 7, 10 family members they get along with very well. They're at least part of 4, 5, 6 school or family groups. So getting referrals and leads in this business is just like so simple, it is not complex. So the repeat, the referral, and the growing industry is why, this industry is growing like crazy, And when we look at this entire business, right, this business has 3 challenges, right? Today, if you have a customer, right, that customer is looking for, like if I tell you the current challenges in the industry, so what does TripFactory solve from a very challenge perspective? So what is impossible in the world is like, with Google Maps, sabko sab road nahi pata ho sakte, everybody can't know every road. Actually, you don't even know the roads in your own city. Forget about outside the world, right? Similarly is in travel, right? You cannot have the knowledge or people don't even know the cities they live in completely. Forget about the state, country, and the world, right? So that knowledge has to have a reservoir, right? So there was no such reservoir of knowledge which you could get, as much you wanted, and now, right, in the shape you wanted, कि मुझे ऐसे bottle में डाल के दे दो, मुझे ये दे दो, right? So 20 people are traveling, 8 people are traveling, 6 are traveling, 4 are doing, 30 people are going. There is an office event of 60 people, there is a company event of 800 people. It comes in all shapes and sizes, right? And to say that I know how to solve everything, right, is not feasible, right? And to be able to solve that for everybody in the world, right, was an impossible problem which TripFactory has solved, right? And that is the power of what we have done and achieved, which you can't do online, and you can't do with Thomas Cook, or you can't do with all these, because they're all broken systems and broken companies, right? So what we have done is that you can advise using this platform on anything instantly, and then there is an assurance that the quality of service behind that is going to be right. So that is what we have really solved. Now, to distribute this, which was the second part of our mission, is one is to create the product set, and second is to basically have the benefit reach all the right people, and with all the different types of solutions they are looking for. We're looking for responsible people to represent our brand, people who have a passion, drive like we do, to have a value system like we do, who always want to be ahead in something in their area. They believe, I want to bring this innovation first to this area. I want to bring excellence in what they do. And it's a long-term opportunity. Like I said, it's not a transactional business, right? People stick to these kind of companies. It's almost like your doctor business, just because एक नया hospital खुल गया और उसकी 2 ad आ गई, अपना doctor नहीं change करते हैं. And people are constantly looking for the right doctor. My mother has this, my thing this, I have this knee thing. Who's the right doctor? So the interesting part is, that is how sticky our business is. So basically, we will describe this opportunity in more detail as we have your interest. But the idea is we're looking at 100 equal markets in India where people have tremendous opportunity to become part of this and help us in our growth, and we can help them in theirs, right? And we can basically discuss in a lot more detail in private sessions. I'd welcome interested parties who I think Gaurav and his team think are serious to have a one-on-one meeting in Bangalore. So we don't want to just say it, we would like to invite, we would like to meet, would like to chat, and then we see if there is a fit, then we can move forward, And the whole, advisor program is, like I said, it's phenomenal. It is a simple way to go and have a conversation which is backed 24/7, by a expert team in the back end. Let's say you want to become an advisor. So in the advisor program, there are 3 very key things that we believe are very important. One is knowledge, right? So there's a huge emphasis on training, knowledge, and field experience, right? You have to go and see what you're going to talk about, right? You have to go and do that. And the large part of what we are going to discuss, whatever costs, fees, training, everything is there, is to basically build you into a consummate professional. One of the most important facets I'd like to say about this is that the TripFactory program turns you into a lifetime income generating source for yourself, right? Because it's training you on a skill which has a lot of demand, right? Today, if you see, software developers are plugging into anywhere on the internet, and, they are starting to, be able to work, right? So there is a skill that is given to you, right? Like you went to a skill. The second thing is the back office support and the brand that is being given to you, that, we are not some Make My Trip or Thomas Cook or, some Expedia. We are TripFactory, and you'll be surprised and shocked to the number of brands that you hear about every day. They also try to book their business through us, right? And I will show it to you. So the important thing is that, the TripFactory program is a very well thought through, sincere, real, opportunity. And that is why we are also going to look for very tightly whether, you will represent the brand well, you are actually sincere about what you want to do. And, you will be able to, we are all cut from the same fabric, so that's very important for us. And, the tech part is always ahead, we are always leading the industry. So I'm not worried about that. So, you would be surprised that, 80% of the entire travel industry on the B2B side that you see in India was created by me, right? And Gaurav, thank you very much. You were also involved in the early part of VIA. And, our involvement with Franchise India really helped, boost our brand and grow our business, And so the important thing is, all these things, we build work, people have built a livelihood using us. Nobody, 88,000 people in India will not fake every day, ki wo travel industry mein aa gaye hain, they are actually there. They have quit their core businesses and come in and joined, right? So what we build works and people have built a livelihood using us is not real. You can go and walk into any travel agent in this country, in any part of this country, any city you live in, and you can talk about, Vinay Gupta and Vaya in first names, you will hear it, right? So we are not somebody who's saying, aap isse baat kar lo, usse baat kar lo. Aapko jisse baat karna, aap baat kar sakte ho, right? You want to talk to an airline CEO, you want to talk to a travel agent, you can do it anywhere, And, we are trusted by airlines to power in India, globally, and when we go into an industry, we change that forever. The funny part is, even companies which were operating before Via had no choice but to change their model and business and become like Via, right? Because there was no other way to operate in this industry, because customers, agents, airlines all had changed, So, and like I said, every B2B company, in the world, right from booking.com to Expedia, they've all copied us. In fact, Expedia hired our head of sales, Rahil, in Singapore to start this, right? So, so that is the level of see on the investment side, right? Like I said, the big part is that this investment is going into building a sustainable long-term business. This is not a shop. This is not something you are selling. This is not something जिसका inventory खत्म हो जाएगा. This is not something जिसका demand खत्म हो जाएगा. This is not something which will go out of fashion. This is not something कि कल तो आता था, आज नहीं आता है. अगर आपके हाथ में गूगल मैप्स है तो आपको परसों भी आता है और उसके 4 दिन बाद भी आता है. How to go there. So the whole thing is, what you're getting is an infrastructure of a global brand, knowledge, technology, right? And a burgeoning demand and a sticky customer, right? And consistently, leveraged on your knowledge and customer base. So what you're getting is something real, right? And it is going to stick to the entire thing. And the whole thing of TripFactory, advisor, which is silver, gold, platinum, is basically to showcase that, the level of effort that you put into that whole thing, how the whole thing compounds. Because see, I'll give you the whole, the story behind the silver, gold, and platinum. If you go and talk to 5 customers today, or 10 customers today, or 3 customers today, because the customers you go talk to, some of them will listen to you, they'll convert, and then as they come back, they'll refer more. So those people who will run this loop faster, their loop will just keep becoming bigger, right? And that is how you keep moving up the category. It is not like some category we're defining as silver, gold, or platinum. We're just trying to showcase to you that, with a little small effort and another small effort and another small effort, how far can your income stream move, right? And for an area developer, it is an area where you can consistently basically use that as an income stream, because those areas will get more aircrafts, more traveling population. So consistently, because of the natural winds, not just your own effort, right? The business has phenomenal growth, and you will see the way the financials and numbers are modeled are fairly conservative, and if you were able to really do well, you could do very, very well, and we plan to launch newer products, every quarter, so that, there are more offerings basically that can go back into the market, more training of advisors and more engagement. And we'll discuss more on that, deeply when we go into the model. And, again, like I said, when we do things from a very global perspective, that we are not just trying to sell you something, we're basically solve an industry, right? And because if the industry is solved, then, everybody wants that COVID drug. किसने बनाया किसी को फर्क नहीं पड़ता. कल तक कोई और फार्मा कंपनी थी, कल कोई और फार्मा कंपनी आ गई, right? But जिसने वो drug solve कर दिया, वही, that is the one which goes into demand, right? So we feel that the problem in the travel tourism industry was as deep as COVID, and people were struggling, अगर आपका customer पूछ लेता है, 2 लाख रुपए में international trip कहाँ जा सकते हैं, there is no good answer and right answer. There can be many good answers, but for that you need to have a lot of knowledge, a lot of capability backing you. It's like asking somebody, यहाँ से वहां तक कैसे जा सकते हैं. Like Google Maps, you take 2 roads different, again it shows you another route. So basically the platform needs to have that capability, backend and support, right? It is not just about individual. So basically, what we are looking for is people who have, like I said, who have the zeal to have customer connect, right? And people who are married to excellence, people who are presentable, people who are serious about themselves, people who are serious that koi 2 lakh rupe kharch karna hai hamare saath, and that is his time and savings, right? It is a responsible job. Those are the kind of people we feel, are people, who are affable, amenable, presentable. So we will look for a lot of those, and they can come from all these type of people, industries, because we are not like a thing that, we are FMCG, to usko khana dena hai, itna hi khana kha sakte hain. This is tourism, everybody's traveling. So if you are somebody who is, who is somebody with a great people connect, I think that works. Then there are roles as to what we will do, what we're expecting the area developer to do, and what we're expecting the advisor to do, and we can go in a lot more detail, and as and when you're interested in this whole thing. This is a very important area for us, that our whole idea in this thing is to make sure that the advisor is rock solid, in terms of brand, presentation, knowledge, field knowledge, backup support, learning how to, operate in their area, and having the best technology tools to give instant solutions to clients, and also tools to basically remind them, Mr. Maria, should we send, these 3 things, probably for the upcoming weekends, he can buy this, right? So share this with him, right? So the whole idea is, inbuilt marketing prompts, inbuilt marketing technology, inbuilt, your advisor profile on the website, to everything, which is out there. Then, we proud ourselves in the world's finest team, and I'm not saying finest because, it's nice to say, but I will give you the credentials of some of these people involved, right? So if you come back to homeland, where, we're sitting, we have gone in and solved the 2 largest industries in the world, right? The ticketing, travel technology. The company which can make a claim. The tourism industry, Apple has hardly 2-3% market share of the smartphone market, right? And people buy an app. And those vacations are far more expensive than the Apple iPhone. I'm not even talking about Samsung, Xiaomi. This is the size of tourism industry. So how large we can become in this space is quite unimaginable as a company. And that's why we carry with us some of the finest people around the world. If you see Swami sir, he was basically the guy who set up India's first BPO for Narayan Murthy sir. And they set up a BPO from 200 to 30,000 people, where Apple, Samsung were the kind of customers they had, right? Uni sir was on the board of Kanu, which is like the Tatas of Middle East, right? Andrew was guiding the whole NEOM project, which is the latest Saudi tourism project in the world, right? Simon used to be the CEO of one of the largest holiday companies in Australia and New Zealand. Marika is experienced from us. She was there with us from the Wire days. And so is with Lalita and, Max. If you see, Nine, he basically ran the largest travel company in the world, the Travel Leaders Group. Mike was the CFO and the CEO of Sabre, who took Sabre public, and it's one of the largest travel businesses in the world. So if you really look at the quality of people that we have, right, each one of them have created and built and stood and are sought after, even today for the latest tourism, how to look, how it should shape for the next 15-20 years. And that's why I told you we don't have more board seats available now, right, to give to people, because we are already flooded with some very, very A people in the world, So that brings me to the end of my presentation, and I hope you have all enjoyed it.
Yeah, absolutely. It was very, very elaborate, Vinayji, and I think it comes from your experience. So friends, just to summarize, there are two models which we are bringing in, and this is first time happening in the travel industry, that you can become an area developer. Area developer is a role where you will be given a territory, and we have divided India into 100 equal opportunities from the total addressable market. And these 100 opportunities are given to you as the area developer, which you can develop your region. And this is a different responsibility, different profile. The profile here is somebody who's a great networker, who has his own existing network. Maybe you're part of some network structure where you can really build. You're somebody who also able to bring in advisors under you. These advisors would come from different social backgrounds, different kind of professional backgrounds, who would work as TripFactory advisors, go to the market and bring business. And you will also have, as an area developer, direct team to handle the large MICE business, which is the corporate MICE business. So this is going to be a very different and a very unique opportunity, and there are only 100 about that. Because once you take one territory, that's gone. Nobody can enter that territory, and this would get you some form of exclusivity, provided you are able to build your network right. So that's one opportunity. The second opportunity is more operator. You will get a chance to become a TripFactory advisor, where you will advise people for having great vacations. Now, this both are great opportunities, but this is more for larger investment and larger commitment. And also you have to bring in some infrastructure, which I think I'll pass it on to Ashok, who's a senior consultant with Franchise India, to really run through it. And a trip advisor is somebody who has his social connect and be able to continue to get business. As Vinayji said, it has a compounding effect. Once you start, you might start with maybe 100 unique clients and continue to service them, and they bring in multiply references to you. And over the time, you build a very, very sizable business, because your reference and structure would keep growing in. And before we go there, there was one question which I want, Vinay, if you can answer. Somebody was saying that there can be conflict of interest because a lot of people can go to TripAdvisor direct and get their own solution, which I think partially you answered, that assisted and direct. So that was a question by somebody, that is there a conflict if somebody is working on that and they go to directly to the
So
site?
I'll give you an answer. So basically there are three types of consumer in the market. Okay. One is a consumer who's obviously, working with some travel agent today, right? Second is a consumer who is looking to go to a brand. He thinks, मेरे को travel agent से नहीं खरीदना है, मेरे को brand से खरीदना है. And third is a consumer who is becoming a consumer for the first time, right? मतलब वो ना किसी brand के साथ था, ना travel agent के साथ था. He is trying to become a consumer for the first time, right? These are the guys who will straight away go to Google first, right? And they will look for who is offering that service. So basically it becomes a great lead generation source for our advisors, right? It becomes a way for us to keep making sure that we don't lose that growing market of passport holders, growing market of people who basically had no other interaction for their first holiday before, right? So we need to maintain those three levels of presence, right? Otherwise you lose that entire lot to people who are online.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Great. So, Ashok, you want to now present the financials, and then we get on to.
Thank you, Gauravji. Thank you, Vinayji. So I will share my screen and just look at some of these quick numbers for TripFactory advisors.
Synopsis. And friends, please ask your questions on the Q&A box. A lot of people have already asked. Ask your questions. Also tell about your profile, which market you're coming from, or which market you would be keen on, and especially your profile. Profile is very important for us, that what brings you on this opportunity and why you feel that you will be best suited to become partner with TripFactory.
Yes, so now we are looking at these profile for my TripFactory advisors, which are classified into three different categories: silver, gold, and platinum. So what kind of numbers we are looking at? And if you consider the investment for my TripFactory advisor, it's only 3.5 lakh rupees of investment, and that is basically company it's reinvesting on my advisor to train them, to give them international exposure of Southeast Asian markets, Dubai, Turkey, and in other markets you can consider like Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, Bali. So these locations, company is going to provide you the experience. So you will have the international exposure as well as 7 days of corporate intensive training. And so once my TripFactory advisor is trained, and if you look at the total number of bookings in a year, he does. So silver category, basically we are expecting around 180 bookings in a year, and goes up to around 530 bookings per year. My gold category is doing like 245, increasing up to around 700 bookings. My platinum category is doing like 275 and increasing up to like 750 bookings. And you make the revenue of starting at like for silver category 2 crores, and it goes up to 6+ crores. My gold category generates the revenue of 2.8 crores in the first year, and it goes up to 8 crores plus. Platinum performs, basically he generates revenue of above 3 crores and goes up to 9 crores. So that kind of revenue you can do from the platform. Now, if you look at the expenses, so expenses are very low because you are directly involved in the business. And once the cumulative base of your customers goes up above 150, then you require basically additional one more support to handle these leads. So your basically entire expense for the year is starting in the range of like 4 lakh and goes up to like platinum category, because he needs more support to managing the entire customer base. So that's around 20 lakh rupees for the year. The kind of margins for the year we consider. So my advisors get basically 8% margin on holiday bookings, 10% margins they get on special flights, and remaining other services like transport, travel insurance, or visa services. So on the remaining categories, he got another like 10% kind of margin. So he makes like for the year around 20 lakh and goes up to 50 plus lakh. That's only my silver category. My gold category basically starts generating like 23 lakh and goes up to 68 lakh. My platinum can perform basically starting from 25 lakh and goes up to 7.5
75 lakh rupees.
75 lakhs, correct.
Yeah.
So now if you look at the total EBITDA for the year, so what my trip advisors are withdrawing like monthly after all the expenses. So my silver advisor, he starts making profit of like 1.1 lakh rupee per month kind of net earning for himself, and he can earn up to 3 lakh rupees per month. My gold category, he can start earning like 1.5, 1.6 lakh rupees a month, and he goes up to 4 lakh. And my platinum category, he can do like 1.8 lakh rupees a month from the first year itself, and he can go up to 4.5 lakh rupees. And these are basically based on a very conservative numbers, because your cumulative customer base in the fifth year is going to be very high. If you have a customer base of like minimum 500 people, clients to 1,000 clients, you can easily generate this business. It doesn't require additional effort to create this business. So this is, I think, a very lucrative opportunity for TripFactory advisors.
See, basically the most important thing यहाँ पे अगर मैं आपको बताऊं तो सिंपल चीज ये है कि एक एवरेज बुकिंग करीबन 1.5 लाख रुपए से 1.25 लाख रुपए की होती है, राइट? तो अगर आपको उस पर 8% मिल रहा है तो आपकी बुकिंग में आपको पैसा मिल रहा है, राइट? और अगर और आप 10-15 बुकिंग तो महीने की करोगे ही, राइट? सो द इम्पोर्टेंट थिंग इज जैसे ही आपके 3-4 कस्टमर जाके आ जाते हैं, 4-5-6 रेफरल्स और आ जाते हैं, सो बेसिकली गेटिंग टू 15 बुकिंग इज नॉट ए डिफिकल्ट थिंग, राइट? एंड अगर आप आसपास अगर आप किसी समाज से कनेक्टेड हैं, किसी डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर से कनेक्टेड हैं, वहां पे आपको साल में ऐसे 4-5 वो भी ग्रुप्स मिलेंगे, 40 लोगों के, 50 लोगों के, 100 लोगों के, जो कि हमने इसमें फैक्टर नहीं किए हैं, जो कि एक एडिशनल किकर होंगे, राइट? तो बेसिकली द मनी इज कमिंग आउट ऑफ दैट, उसमें से पैसा बाहर आ रहा है, राइट? तो इसको इतना सिंपली सोचना है कि अगर हम बोल रहे हैं कि 1,10,000 रुपये बना रहे हैं, तो क्योंकि हम वो 10-12 बुकिंग महीने की कर पा रहे हैं, इसलिए हम बना रहे हैं पैसा, राइट? तो बेसिकली दैट इज द कोर, राइट? क्योंकि उसके बाद आपका कोई खर्चा नहीं है, वो सारा हैंडलिंग, उसको सर्विस देना, उसको ग्लोबल लोकेशन जो हमारी जहाँ लोग बैठे हैं वो वहां पे आपका कोई खर्चा नहीं है, कोई इन्वॉल्वमेंट नहीं है, राइट? एंड सो दैट इज बेसिकली द मैथमेटिक्स। अगर आप थोड़े और ज्यादा लोगों को मिल सकते हो, थोड़े और ज्यादा लोगों से बात करोगे, तो आपकी और बुकिंग हो जाएगी, राइट? तो आपके 1.5 लाख रुपए बन जाएंगे। और अगर आप काफी अग्रेसिव हो, इसलिए आपके 2.25 लाख रुपए बन जाएंगे। तो ये जो मैं आपको बोल रहा था कि दिस इज द डिफरेंस बिटवीन कि आप जितना एफर्ट डालोगे, राइट? क्योंकि बाजार तो काफी बड़ा है, लेकिन आप जितना एफर्ट डालोगे उसके हिसाब से आपकी इनकम बढ़ रही है। तो ये कोई एक्सेल शीट में से नहीं आ रही है, आपके एफर्ट से आ रही है।
It is your throughput, but if you have two responsibilities to do. One responsibility is to acquire new customers, and the second is create a great user experience for them so that they appreciate your relationship, your effort to help them, and that effort would create a multiplier that you start getting more references. And if you are somebody who's a great networker, somebody who has some this can be a phenomenal earning opportunity for you.
Absolutely, sir. I will share one insight from a global survey which was done on basically a study, like why customer buy a holiday package and how they buy and what preference they consider. So first preference that they consider, that is 33%, that is the customer experience. And the 30% weightage was given to the expertise. Third, basically 30% weightage was given to the customer relationship. So if you add these three, so that becomes 93% of the entire 100% somebody is buying a package or a holiday. And remaining 7% was given to the like price and other categories. So TripFactory basically bringing 100% technology support, customer experience support, quality services. So that basically fulfills the 100% of the satisfying requirement of the customer. So TripFactory has the higher advantage to give you a higher customer retention rate.
Excellent. Before we go further, there are two questions which I have come in. I would like to take those questions. एक तो सुधीर जी ने क्वेश्चन पूछा कि जीएसटी और टैक्स लायबिलिटी किसकी है सारी ट्रांजैक्शन में.
हमारी है.
Yes, so it is transaction is done directly with the TripFactory, and TripFactory gives you as an advisor commission back. So the entire taxation responsibility goes to the TripFactory HO. So that's the responsibility of them. The second question is जो प्रवीण जी ने पूछा कि ये जो मार्केटिंग है TripAdvisor अपनी मार्केटिंग करेगा और उसको किसी तरह की सपोर्ट मिलेगी लीड जनरेशन के लिए या किसी तरह का हैंड होल्डिंग है या ओवरऑल ही हम उसकी गो टू मार्केट, बिकॉज आई ऑलवेज फील दैट पीपल आर ऑलवेज स्केयर्ड अबाउट ईज ऑफ डूइंग बिजनेस, कैसे मैं बिजनेस में आ जाऊंगा और कैसे मेरा बिजनेस बन जाएगा. एंड आई विल लाइक विनय जी इफ यू कैन पुट highlight on that, because I think you put a significant structure behind it.
See, इसका बहुत सिंपल आंसर है कि कस्टमर्स आपके तो व्हाट्सएप पे ऑलरेडी बैठे हुए हैं आज. ओके, आपको बेसिकली we will give you a brand video, we will give you your own brand. जब आप एक एडवाइजर बनेंगे, ट्रेंड एडवाइजर बनेंगे, तो आपका एक खुद एडवाइजर वीडियो होगा with proper products. You will see that the leads start coming from just the existing customer base on your phone book, right? And if you can just harness the top 100 contacts in your phone book, I think that is where this marketing is. Because यहाँ पे awareness से lead generate होगी, you know, it is not going to come through, you know, some special thing, you know, and how you maintain your social media profile, for which we will give you content, for which we will back you up, right? But the lead generation effort, the brand cannot do for you. The brand can support your lead generation effort, right? वो lead generation effort, because this is a relationship where, you know, the hospital can do some marketing, like, but at the end of the day, the important thing is कि आपका जो खुद का interaction है, right? जो आपको जानते हैं already, right? मैं वो नहीं कह रहा हूँ जो आपको नहीं जानते हैं. Right, this is where we have to start the business, right? And वहां से वो referral से आपका एक base बन जाता है customers का. And we are not talking about thousands of customers, we are talking about 300, 500 customers, right? And you have to start with the first 20, 30, 40, 50, which is already there on your phone book, right? So that is the answer to this question.
Yeah, it is actually
sharing more and more good content, which we will give you with your network, will keep generating the leads in a very simple way.
Absolutely. And you need to become authority on travel and continue to share a lot of content.
वो हम आपको train करते रहेंगे, वो content भी हम देते रहेंगे. That is our responsibility, because ये सारा business content का ही है.
Absolutely. So,
Yeah.
Yes.
Now we are coming to the area developer model. So for area developer, it's an investment of 25 lakhs, which includes 10 lakh rupees of the interior fit out, where you require basically 2,000 square feet area, and you need to create 10 working stations, basically you can say conference rooms, and you need to provide the equipment and infrastructure. Another 5 lakh you require basically for furniture and equipments, and 10 lakh rupees is the one-time brand fees to become an area developer. So this is, and against this 10 lakh rupees investment, you are going to receive a 7 days of intensive training, and my area developer can do the corporate and MICE business. That is his role. He is not going to involve in B2C business. So B2C business is totally driven by our TripFactory advisors.
So largely the infra you are putting in is actually used by your TripFactory advisors. So if say I take up a region like Delhi, I'll put up a one experience center. This experience center can be visited by my trip advisors. They can bring their clients to that place. It will have a great experience for people to do that. So it's like a co-working of a place for all the TripFactory advisors. They can come and use the facility and bring their clients and so forth. So as an area developer, your main focus remains to recruit high quality TripFactory advisors. Imagine yourself, if you build 100 people network in a city, you have 100 people selling every single day and you getting business out of it because you hold the territory. So this is a very, very lucrative, very unique model. But somebody who has ability to one, recruit high quality TripFactory advisors and also keep them motivated, keep them engaged, train them regularly, then you build a very sizable network and a very, very large business. The problem in the current, they're so micro that you don't build meaningful size because you're competing with the next door small time guy and doing that. This is your opportunity to own a region and build a region for lifetime. And that's a big opportunity. And this has never happened in the history of any kind of travel businesses. So they always work with a very, very small micro. So if you really understand distribution, there are two types of distribution. One is very Procter & Gamble way of doing it. Larger player, bigger capabilities, and so on and so forth. And second is Unilever, which is very micro distribution. So it's a little bit of a Procter & Gamble kind of a structure where you own a territory and you build a very high quality TripFactory advisors under you and build a very strong relationship management with the clients they have, but don't compete them. You can only do a direct business, which is a large MICE business, which means a large corporate business, which comes to you directly as an area developer. But rest business, even if you get it, you have to pass it on to your TripFactory advisors because you're facilitating them. Because every dollar they sell, you make money on that. So this is a model which is very, very lucrative and a very high performing model. And it also has overall total addressable market very large. And there's only 100 signified territories which we're opening up. And we're taking applications for this. There's a gentleman called Rahul and his team across India. And also a lot of our team members placed in Franchise India team members placed in over 90 plus cities. They would go through an interview process. Every interview then would come to the management of Franchise India, where Sonia and I would also talk to you. And then we take it to Vinayji's corporate team, which is going to also evaluate your profile before anybody can be finalized.
Yeah, absolutely. So my area developer gets a 4% margin, or you can say commission on the MICE business or corporate business. Plus his role is basically appoint TripFactory advisors. So his minimum target is he has to add minimum 10 TripFactory advisors every month. So that is the basically minimum target. But area developer, he can basically appoint 20, 30 or 50 advisors in 1 or 2 months. So that will give them a higher side of the business. And then his criteria basically he has to maintain a minimum of 50% of the TripFactory advisors as a effective contributors to the business. In terms of training to the TripFactory advisors, so TripFactory will do the training for your TripFactory advisors that you appoint or bring on board. And so whatever the business my advisors network make on the monthly basis, my area developer will receive an incentive of 0.25% on the total volume generated for the month for the trade. And his operating cost is going to be, because he has to pay the rental for the space, like other utility expenses he has to bear, plus he has to appoint a team to operate the center. So if we consider all of these, his expenses, my area developer starts making like 3 lakh rupees a month from first year itself. And this is at the very conservative side. Second year, he makes like 5.5 lakh rupees per month. It goes up to 7 lakh, 11 lakh, and 17 lakh rupees per month kind of business my area developer can make from this business. And this model is agreement is 10 year. We have shown the projection only for like 5 years. So for the next 5 years, you can expect your monthly income may go beyond 25 lakh rupees a month.
Only and when you have a great network. Let me caution it very clearly. This is a model which can be very, very lucrative only if you recruit high quality advisors. And that's what the experience we need. We need people who have ability to recruit, retain, and motivate. I will repeat again, recruit, retain, and motivate their advisors. So that's a model. So if you are able to do these three things and you are constantly committed towards helping your advisors do better, perform better, excite them, I think, then you can make a phenomenal opportunity and a phenomenal business, which is a legacy business for you. And that's why it's very important, and a mandate to Franchise India by TripFactory management is to really choose, handpick people, and why we are going to do that. So every single profile is very important. If you want to become an advisor, that's fine. You can become an advisor. If you have a network, you think you can sell vacation packages to people, you can become, company will train you hard, give you all the facility so that you are successful. But if you want to become an area developer, it's by strong selection. It's not open for everyone because not everybody qualifies to become that role. So we are looking for people who have ability to create large networks and build a sizable business on that. And we are inviting applications. Once you apply an application, we'll go through a review. Rahul would share his number also. You can reach him. So he has team across India. And we have teams in 90 plus cities. All the cities you mentioned, we have somebody around there. We will reach out to you next 2 days, understand your profile well, validate you by your investment appetite and your operational capability. Are you a candidate for an advisor or an area developer? So if you're an advisor, then there is a different selection process. If you're an area developer, then there is a different selection process. And both we will run through. And then once we have shortlisted at our level, we'll bring it to the management of TripFactory. So friends, we have overshot our webinar. Thanks very much for joining in. Still, I see a lot of people on the call. I would like to take last words from everyone. And Rahul, you can share your number also on the chat box so everybody can reach you. Vinayji, last final words from you. And thank you very much for taking this Sunday afternoon off and joining directly for this webinar. So over to you first, and then maybe to Sonia.
No, I'd like to just thank all of you and look forward to having a conversation with all of those who are interested and walking you through this further. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Over to you, Sonia.
Great. I think we had a very interactive session, friends, and I see some very interesting questions which we tried and replied in the time that we perhaps had. But I think the most important thing that we need, while there might be a lot of interest, comes from both the profiles, but it is very important that we select the right profile of people, which is extremely important, because we believe the profile of partners is one big and the biggest differentiator, so to say, in making our entire business model successful. And so we request all of you to reach out to us. Also in the month of October, November, our teams at Franchise India and also teams at TripFactory would be traveling to about 20 odd cities and maybe more. We would be happy to share the plans with all of you. And also request one-to-one meeting that you can do with our teams. And starting tomorrow, Rahul is leading the entire project and we have teams in about 100 cities in the country. And most probably, if you are in a city, I would have my local teams who would interact with you. I'll request all of you to share your credentials. If you come from any relevant profiles or even maybe non-travel background or industry, we would still be happy to discuss and take this further with all of you. Great.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Ashok. Thank you, Shivinder, Dishant, Rahul. Over to you, Neha, for the last thank you words.
Thank you, sir. Thank you everyone for joining us today. Thanks a lot.
Viniji, I'll take
Uh,
one question. This came from one of our partners, and because it might so happen that we might have somebody interested to become a travel advisor without having an area developer in that location. So how can a situation like this be addressed?
Well, till the time the area developer is not appointed, we will become their pseudo area developer till then, right? And when it is appointed, we'll move them under the area developer.
All right.
Because they will need an operating space to operate.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
Neha, over to you.
Sure. So thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. I believe the brand details and insight we have shared with you are going to benefit you for choosing the business plan. If your questions were not answered during the webinar, we plan to get back to you within a day or two. On 3rd of October, Tuesday, we are coming again with our new brand, the Junior Delhi School. This is into preschool and daycare. They have 258 plus schools already there in pan-India basis. Into 20 states they are there. To know more details, you'll have to join the webinar, which is coming on Tuesday on 3rd of October. I have already shared the webinar link to register yourself into our chat window. To register, please click on that link and get the registration done so that you can join us at 12 o'clock on Tuesday at 3rd. Thank you so much for joining, everyone. Thanks a lot.